I messed up. It was stupid to think that I could come up with a plan to beat Sharky.
Stig ruffled his feathers.
We're not beaten yet. No, but we will be soon, and it's my fault. You can't blame yourself, my boy. They knew what they were getting into,
Stig said.
Stig's right,
Kate broke in.
It's not your fault. Besides, I think we still got a chance.
Eric shook his head and sighed. The ship was closer now.
Is that Sharky's ship?
He asked. The Lord Mayor nodded. That's the Deathwind. It's flying his flag. He pointed to a blood-red flag that fluttered from the main mast in the early morning light. The Lord Mayor frowned. What I don't understand is what he's doing in the harbor alone. I can't make out what's happening at the entrance. Stig, could you fly up and see how things look from the air?
Certainly. Be back in a jiffy,
Stig said and took off, flying out over the bay. Eric watched him go and hoped he'd be okay. Where are Wainscott and Weatherby? The Lord Mayor asked.
They and some fishermen got some casks of powder from old Bubblebeak so they could set them adrift out in the harbor,
Hollow said.
For the last time, Hollow, her name is Bottleneck,
Kate said. The dwarf shrugged.
Whatever,
he said.
Where'll they be launching the boats from?
Eric asked.
There's a little grotto over there,
Kate said, pointing to where the wharf ended on their right.
It's screened off from the rest of the bay by some rocks. There's a small opening, but from the harbor it looks like a wall of stone. Captain Weatherby keeps a sloop tied up there, and some of the fishermen dock their smaller craft and rowboats there.
Just then there was another round of cannon fire, and Stig returned with a flutter of wings. Eric felt a surge of relief when he saw his friend return unharmed. What do you have to report, Stig? The Lord Mayor asked.
Well, it could be worse,
the owl said.
It seems that the catapults did a significant amount of damage to one of the ships. It appears to be sinking. This has effectively cut off the lead ship from the others, at least until the foundering vessel sinks. The other 3 ships have picked up survivors and have begun to bombard the ridges. It doesn't look good for our friends up there. I'm afraid they're drawing heavy fire.
Eric's mind was racing. A wild hope rose within him.
Sharky's cut off!
Aye, but only for a while, lad, the Lord Mayor reminded him.
Well, let's take advantage of it while we got the chance,
Corden bellowed. The Lord Mayor nodded. Go tell Weatherby and Wainscott to launch those boats into the bay. Corden grinned and rose to race off.
No need,
cut in Stig and pointed a wing towards the harbor. Eric peered above the wall and saw 3 small boats drifting toward the pirate ship. He also saw that the ship was starting to turn.
Hey, she's coming about!
They all watched as the ship's bow began to swing to the right so that the guns could fire a broadside at the village. No one on board the Deathwind seemed to have noticed the small boats in the water. The ship's bow was turning toward the floating bombs. Eric held his breath. Would they get lucky? Suddenly, one of the boats exploded in a ball of orange and yellow flame. Hollow shook his head.
Fuse was too short, don't you know?
He muttered. Confused shouts and exclamations could be heard coming from the pirate ship.
They're surprised,
Eric said.
They didn't know we have black powder.
You're right, lad, the Lord Mayor said. But we may have tipped our hand too soon. Sharky's wheelman was checking the ship's turn to avoid the floating bombs, making it unable to fire a volley for the time being. However, the other 2 boats blew up harmlessly, enabling the Deathwind to come about again. Nan, best get your archers ready, the Lord Mayor said.
Right,
she replied.
Everyone, light arrows!
50 points of light twinkled in the dwindling darkness as the archers took aim and loosed their arrows. Many fell short, but a few found their marks, picking off gunners and starting a few small fires. As a result, only 7 of the 12 cannon fired on the village. Buildings on the hillside behind them were ripped apart. The villagers responded with more flaming arrows, trying to keep the pirates occupied in extinguishing the fires that erupted. Nevertheless, the gunners managed a second volley that raked the village once more. Standing on the deck amid a red glow, Eric could see a large pirate waving a huge cutlass and bellowing orders.
Is that?
He asked.
Yes,
Kate hissed.
It's Sharky. I had a feeling. Look, they're through,
Hollow said. Sure enough, Eric could see 3 other ships coming up from behind. The ship must have sunk, Eric thought. Great, what next? The Lord Mayor scratched his beard and bit his lip. Nan, let's take some of the archers and—
Look!